This week's episode is brought to you by Ryan M., who suggested a feature movie on our Instagram page. I am pretty sure that's the very first time we've gotten a suggestion through Instagram, so thank you very much for that, Ryan. For any of you Patreon donors, you might want to go take a look on our Patreon page if you haven't done so in a while. That's patreon.com/graveyard. We've updated some of the donation tiers and some of our benefit tiers. The donation tiers, there's some different rewards now that are available depending on how much money you're donating to the show. And we've added some tier levels for some things that we want to do if we can reach a certain amount of donations per month. And that may include a possibility of some Graveyard Shift merchandise that would be available to our Patreon donors. So yeah, definitely go check that out. And also, Patreon donors, don't forget that your movie suggestions get bumped to the top of the list. We make you priority if you have any suggestions. And for anybody, if you do have any movie suggestions that you want to see us cover on a future episode, we'll stick around. We're going to tell you all the ways you can make those suggestions at the end of the show. But for right now, Mike, would you please play that theme song? Welcome to episode 82 of The Graveyard Shift, where each week we watch a horror movie suggested by one of our listeners, and we break it down into the good, the bad, and any other category we decide to make up along the way. We'll talk about the plot, some production details, and anything else we find fun or relevant. I'm your host, Sheldon, and I never worked a graveyard shift alone. Please say hello to my co-host, Mike.
What, I don't get an intro?
This movie wasn't worth it, dude.
I thought you were going to be like, please welcome the biggest rat I know, Mike.
Sure, okay, we'll say that. Little editing job there for you, Mike. Okay, so Mike, I've got a question for you. Have you ever read a book or a story and then found out that there's a movie based on it, and then found out that these two things are not exactly very similar?
The closest thing I can come to is comic book movies that have been adapted, like The Watchmen or stuff like that. But I was more of a gamer, so if I ever had time to sit around in bed with something in my hands when I'm there in the bathroom, besides, teenage stuff, then it was usually a Game Boy.
Okay, let's leave that thought there. Well, yeah, so I certainly had this problem with this movie. I kind of saw parts of this movie before we watched it for the show, but I did read the story, not a book because it's based on a short story, years ago. And so I hadn't seen enough in the movie before to know that there was some big changes, but yeah, it certainly strayed a bit from the source material. But anyway, before we get into the movie in any details, why don't you tell everyone what we actually got for them tonight?
Today's episode is redundant title is redundant because we watched The Graveyard Shift.
Oh, we sure did. And here's the little breakdown of The Graveyard Shift. Released in October of 1990, Graveyard Shift is an American horror story based on a 1970s short story by Stephen King. It has a runtime of 89 minutes, has an R rating due to scenes of violence and gore, had a budget of $10.5 million, and had a box office return of $11.6 million.
Woo,
so it did squeak out a profit. And
I wonder if that budget included the marketing.
I hope so. You know what? I don't remember a lot of marketing for this one. You know how when you're a kid, you remember certain movies that seemed like they got promoted a lot, like you were always seeing the trailers and commercials on TV? I saw nothing about this one. And I was a pretty big movie junkie like my entire life, so I used to always be on the lookout for new trailers and stuff. And so it made a $1.6 million budget, or $1.1 million budget, I should say. And that's more than we said about a lot of movies that we've covered on the show. But this movie not well loved by either critics or viewers, as Rotten Tomatoes gives this one a 13% critic score and a 22% audience score. So now, if you're wondering what kind of plot would generate such low scores, well, here you go. In a very old textile mill with a serious rat infestation, the workers discover a horrifying secret deep in the basement. Now, doesn't tell you a lot about the overall story. I mean,
Or that happens in the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, pretty much. There's a lot of build up to this before it actually gets to like the actual meat of the movie, I guess we'll say. So like I was saying earlier, like this is a story. When I was probably about like 12 years old, I had this collection of Stephen King short stories, and Graveyard Shift was one of them. And I loved the story. It was great. And so and like I said, I did see some pieces of this movie, and I knew it involved rats. So like that was as close to the story as I knew at the time. But yeah, it did deviate away from the source material, and I want to show you just how much. Now, I'm not going to go through the entire synopsis of the movie.
Pretty sure it also deviated away from the species.
Yeah, it did. And the story actually deviates away from the species even more than the movie did. Because, let me tell you, there's some, like, Pokemon-esque rats in that story. So
I was expecting Eradicate, but instead we got something quite different.
Yeah, so, okay, since you know the movie, I'm not going to go through the entire synopsis of the movie. That's not what we do, except in our Patreon. So check out our Patreon feed for something like that. But since I'm going to speak directly to you, Mike, and our listeners, if you've seen this movie or you watch it after listening to us talk about it, then you'll know what I mean. So here is a plot summary of the short story. A young drifter named Hal had been working at a decrepit textile mill in a small town in Maine when his cruel foreman, Warwick, recruits him and others to assist with a massive cleaning effort. The basement of the old mill had been abandoned for decades, and over the years, a monumental infestation of rats had taken hold. So far, pretty, not as many details, but actually pretty close to the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's where it starts getting a little crazy. The rat empire, cut off from the rest of nature, has allowed the animals to evolve into a strange and varied combination of creatures, complete with its own bizarre self-sustaining ecosystem. There are large armored rats, albino weasel-like rats that can climb up walls or burrow through the ground, and bat-like rats that have evolved into pterodactyl-like sizes.
What the fuck? This sounds like the thankfully not made Secret of Nim threequel.
Mm-hmm. The men eventually come across a sub-basement locked from the inside. Warwick then enlists Hal to go down to investigate the sub-basement, and that he may take whoever he likes. Hal chooses Warwick, who, despite trying to prevent them from entering, is forced to press on. Okay, so that part, other than the hybrid rats, that part is pretty accurate. As they make their way through the sub-basement, Hal and Warwick discover that it harbors something more terrifying and hideous than any of them could have dreamed. A cow-sized queen rat with no eyes or legs, whose only purpose is to endlessly breed more rats. Hal sprays Warwick towards the queen with the hose they are using to attack the rats. As the queen devours Warwick, Hal makes his way towards the exit while spraying the rats. However, he is overwhelmed and eaten alive by the hordes of mutated rats. Meanwhile, the main character from the movie,
he's a dick.
He is a dick, and he gets eaten.
A bigger dick than his own boss.
Meanwhile, the other team of workers on the surface wonder what happened to them, and with no idea what kind of horror awaits them, prepare to descend into the basement. So it had a cold ending. So that's a synopsis of the short story that the movie's based on. And Mike, like I said, because me and you are both familiar with the movie, that is a pretty big deviation.
Yeah, I'd rather see that movie.
I would have liked that better, yeah. Now, this is 1990s Stephen King, and while I love Stephen King as a writer, certainly one of my favorites, there's been some pretty crappy movies based on his material. And this is certainly one of them. This movie is, it has some moments, but overall it is not good.
Yeah, but you're describing sounds like a webcomic I read called Bearmageddon.
Bearmageddon?
Yeah, it's the apocalypse with bears.
Oh shit, okay.
It begins with a bear octopus being fished out of the sewers, and then the bears descend from the woods into the city, and there's bearmadillos, there's mole bears, alligate bears. It's and even like pterodactyls.
Jesus. Okay.
It's like, now that you've discussed this movie, I'm pretty sure they ripped this entire story off. But as a webcomic, it looks fucking great.
Awesome. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, Bearmageddon. So check that out. It's currently on like an indefinite hiatus, but it looks like it's not like canceled or abandoned. It's just the artist has a lot of stuff going on. Mm-hmm. But it's worth checking out, and the archive is pretty deep.
All right, I will check that out. I'm always good for a good Armageddon story. Anyway, we are going to break this movie down into the good and the bad and possibly some other stuff. We'll see how it goes. Now, the good and the bad can be anything we liked or didn't like. This can be something as broad as an overall theme, or something as specific as a certain scene, certain line of dialogue, a certain character, certain actor, whatever we want. If it's good, we'll talk about it. If it's bad, we'll probably talk about it in more detail. And we always start with the good, and we always start with the Mike. So, Mike, bear down and tell me something, pun intended, bear down and tell me something good about Graveyard Shift.
Bleeding credits are always nice. I've seen better bleeding credits, of course, but, you did something with them, so it could have been a whole lot worse. We've seen worse.
This is like the 14th million movie to have bleeding credits. Other than that, I guess they were okay.
Yeah, they didn't linger too much.
No, that's for sure.
And, I got nothing else.
That's it.
I got other goods, just not about that.
Oh, okay. I thought you like, that's it. That's all I got. That's the only good thing about this movie.
Welcome to our 15-minute episode spectacular.
Yeah, see you next week, everybody. So, no, I really thought you were going to be like, yeah, I like the credits. Everything else was complete shit. Okay, so I'm going to say that one of the things I liked about it, he plays such a sleazeball in this, but I like Stephen Mock in this, who played Warwick, because the only other thing, of course he's done other stuff. I only know him from one other thing, and that is one of my favorite movies of all time, The Monster Squad. He was the dad on The Monster Squad. He was the one that blew up, one of the main characters. He's the one that blew up the werewolf by sticking a lit stick of dynamite into the werewolf's pants and kicking him out a window.
Ha!
And I don't know who's familiar with this movie, but that's how we find out what happens if you blow up a werewolf. So, yeah, it was. This was a completely different character from him, because he was such a scuzzbag in this movie, but he played it well.
Did he have the same Amish accent?
No, not at all.
Oh, so that was an affectation for this movie.
Yeah.
Because I found a neat bit of trivia about him, because I liked him in this movie. And as I was reading up on him, because I wanted to find out more, and he was in the final running, given serious consideration to play Jean-Luc Picard.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was almost a dead heat between him and Patrick Stewart.
Oh, shit. That would have been different.
Oh, fuck yeah, it would have been great. I mean, can you imagine just the intro to that show? Space. Final frontier. These are the continuing voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, seek out new life, new civilization, to boldly go where no man's gone before, for double pay.
Nice touch. Okay, what else you got for the good?
Brad Dourif, great at being sadistic.
Yes, Brad Dourif. That was next on my list. Brad Dourif is in this. Man, what a What a mook.
Oh, he looks like the things he hunts.
Oh yeah. And
God,
if,
he's such a weaselly looking fucker, and he knows it. He makes it work.
Yep. And if you're not familiar who Brad Dourif is, you're probably not a giant horror fan. I'm not going to judge. I was about to say, like, you probably have no business listening to a horror movie podcast.
You're not a horror fan at all.
Fuck off. Take your Patreon and get out of here, you moron. But no, we don't judge, you know. But definitely he's done a lot of stuff, mainly in horror, but like definitely most well known for Child's Play. Of course, doing the voice of Chucky the doll and also playing the actual killer whose soul possesses the doll, like
Charles Lee Ray.
Charles Lee Ray, yeah, exactly. So that is definitely, without a doubt, his most outstanding role. So yes,
my first role that I really like, I didn't know who he was at the time, but looking back, like I went through his IMDb and found out he played one of my favorite characters in the early seasons of Star Trek Voyager. He played a guy named Lon Suter, who was a psychopath. In one episode, he killed like a couple of crew members, so they locked him up in the brig.
Oh wow!
And then,
I actually remember this episode.
Then at the end of that season, when some hostile alien race hijacks the Voyager, dumps the crew, maroons the crew on a desert on a planet, and takes off, he has been hiding in the vents, and he goes full psycho killer on the entire alien crew, brings the ship back, and then fights off the remaining alien crew, and of course, like, he dies, because you can't have a badass like that on the show all the time, because they just basically have him on the bridge on a leash and just be like, Klingons, Borg, okay, bring out Suter. So they had to write him off, but he was an epic one man against an army, and the odds aren't good for the army.
Awesome. Yeah, wow, I actually remembered the episode and completely forgot that was him. It's cool. Good one. Good grab. So yeah, so now I guess I got to go to the next thing on my list. Now, I didn't know at first whether to put this in the good or bad section, but I am going to put it in the good, because it was one of the things that actually I think if this is what they were going for, they nailed it with this movie. And everybody, all the characters in the movie, because I mean, they're in, like, looks so hot and sweaty. Everybody looks so uncomfortable in this movie. Like, they're working a rough job. It's dirty. It's gross. Everything's disgusting. And they pulled it off. Like, everybody looks so believably disgusted with the environment that they're in. It made me feel uncomfortable watching it. Like, I could just imagine how these characters are feeling. Like, it looks so unbelievably humid. Everyone is just sweaty and dirty all the time.
Stale air.
Yeah, it was. If that's the feeling, the mood that they were trying to create, I'll give them props for it, because they fucking nailed it. And like, everything in that basement felt like, holy shit! Just watching it, I felt like I need to go get a shower and a tetanus shot.
Absolutely. They did a great job of immersing the audience into a realm of discomfort.
Mm-hmm. Without a doubt. Sorry for the background noise. I had to open up the door because my cat's on the outside freaking out. So, fuck off. Jesus. Like, let the cat in and it comes in and starts like biting my ankle.
Thanks for the entry, fucker.
Yeah, really. So yeah, it's just disgusting. This whole movie made me feel itchy, is the best way to describe it. And it gets worse. It keeps getting worse and worse, because first, like, you're seeing, like, you know, opening up with the scene, like, in the mill. The first character you see just looks so sweaty and tired. When they're outside, everything looks so sweltering hot. And then as it gets lower, when they're working in the basement is fucking disgusting. And then they end up underneath a cemetery. And yeah, I said that right. Underneath a cemetery.
Yeah, it leads to like this weird mine.
Yeah. And it's like they're in water. The water looks putrid, and there's coffins and dead bodies floating around in it. Like, Jesus. Like,
when you're floating in red water,
Yeah.
Something's wrong.
If you, anybody that was, like, if this actually happened, anyone that didn't get killed by the fucking rats would have died from, like, a staph infection.
Yeah,
So-
just breathing that air with, like, the shit of 1,000 rats.
Yeah.
You're-
Like I said, and everything they touched, like, when they brushed up against something, they're covered in just, like, there's black shit all over them, and I literally think it was supposed to be shit, like everything's covered in rat shit.
Oh, when Warwick does that war paint thing.
Oh, my.
Oh.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was
You're
talking
blind.
about.
You're putting that shit in your eyes, dog. You're going blind.
Oh, yeah. So like I said, if that was their goal, to make, like, if that was the mood they were trying to set to make everything look, like, as uncomfortable as possible, then, yeah, mission accomplished. They did it. So, I think it might have been, so I had to put it on the good. All right, so what
Well,
else you got for the good?
I had another good. Kelly Wolf, the hot girl from Castle Rock, makes a great discount Alyssa Milano.
What did I say when you said that? Discount Alyssa Milano?
Current day Alyssa Milano is discount Alyssa Milano.
It's true, man. Come on. Seriously, name the last thing she was in?
Spider-Man. Homecoming.
She was in Spider-Man Homecoming?
She was Aunt May.
That's not Alyssa Milano.
Who is it then?
Fuck, I can't remember her name now, but it's not Alyssa Milano. Jesus, my wife would kill me now because she knows everything about this actress. Marissa Tomei was Aunt May.
Oh, fuck.
So yeah,
Oh, maybe I was thinking about her then.
maybe. Well, I don't know. I thought your discount Alyssa Milano was on point, so...
Well, I guess Alyssa Milano and Marissa Tomei kind of similar.
No.
Like Hot Italian Girl.
No. Sorry,
Okay.
I can't back you up on that one, buddy. Sorry.
Okay. I was expecting you to go, motherfucker, you're right, but no, I was wrong. Marissa Tomei.
Nope, you lose.
Sexy hot Aunt May.
I want the $5 email transfer right now. Okay.
Well, yeah, she was fairly hot. I was looking forward to seeing some scenes, but looks like we weren't getting any
No
no treats in this movie.
It didn't earn that R rating due to nudity, just violence and gore in this one.
Waste of a good rack there.
Hey, Kitty, what do you think of this movie? Jesus Christ, my cat just gave me such, like, a fuck you look when I said that. Because he jumped up on my desk and he's, like, crawling around everything. And I said, hey, Kitty, he just looked at me just like, fuck you.
You know I don't give a fuck, but you're still talking.
Yeah. I'm surprised the dog's not trying to get in here as well, because, like, the dog thinks he's my house's, like, security system, which I guess kind of is, but the only thing he tries to protect me from, though, is the cat. So
So he doesn't get along too well with the cat?
he doesn't like the cat to be near me. It makes him uneasy.
Well, because he can sense the cat's true intent.
I guess so. Okay, so do you have anything else for the good for this one?
One more.
All right.
When they're in the diner, behind Hal is a guy reading Ben.
Yes. Good catch.
And I was just like, yes, that's making the fucking list. I caught that. I saw that. It happened, and I saw it.
Good catch.
And now I want to see Ben.
There's two, right? There's Ben and Willard.
Yeah.
Which one is the original and which one is the sequel?
Willard is the first.
Oh, okay.
And Ben is his friend that ends up surviving, and then Ben moves on to make friends with another kid after Willard dies in his own movie.
Oh, okay.
And that's also
Yes.
I think that's the one that had Michael Jackson in it, or at least had Michael Jackson singing that song when Ben makes friends with.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Ben,
right.
the two of us need look no more.
Oh my god, I completely forgot about that. Michael Jackson did the soundtrack, or not. I don't know about the soundtrack, but did at least a song
title.
based on it.
At least he did the title song.
Fuck, that is so weird.
Oh man, I fucking love that when Michael Jackson was on The Simpsons, and Homer's like freaking out in the asylum, and Jackson whips out that song. Homer, the two of us need look no more.
Oh right, he sings in the sleep.
Yeah.
Right?
with using Ben.
Oh, God. Okay. So, not a surprise that that people are going to hear me say this, but, like, the gore was pretty well done in this one. Not a lot of it. It's not a particularly gory movie or anything. I mean, there's a couple of scenes, but what was there wasn't too bad.
Was this made for TV and then eventually released on DVD?
Like I said, I saw parts of it before it was on, and it was on TV. So I was thinking the same thing, that maybe this was made for TV
because it's so clean. Like the gore
made
is
for
not.
TV, like?
The gore is not that strong. There's no tits.
No, it was actually a theatrical release.
Fuck.
So yeah, it's. No, it does have that made-for-TV look to it, except for, like, the language is pretty strong.
Well, that could have been beeped.
True. Yes, that is true. But, yeah, like, there is some scenes in there where, like I said, when there is some gore done, it's done pretty good. One scene where a guy gets his arm gnawed off. Pretty good. We'll call it, for lack of a better word, the villain's demise at the end. Not bad. That was pretty much it. I'm trying to think of was there another instance, but no. The rest, everything else you see is pretty much just blood. There's either like blood
one
and
of those
water.
workers gets like wrapped up in that weird scrotum thing.
Yeah, but it wasn't very gory. It was like the wings of the giant rat or whatever, or the pterodactyl rat or whatever the fuck it was supposed to be.
I don't see. I see like a skin-like bag with hair on it. I'm not thinking wings, man.
You figure that guy just got scrotum to death?
Yeah. The ultimate tea bag.
What a way to go. Okay. So, yeah, and so there was one other thing that I want to say, but I'll just keep that into, like, the gore was pretty well done. There is another death, but that one might come up later on, so I don't want to spoil anything. So, yeah, okay, so I don't have anything really any more good to say about it. This was pretty light on the good.
Yeah. Kind of slow, even given it's like it had a good runtime, but it still felt kind of slow.
Yeah. That is when you know that you fucked up. When you've got a short runtime, I mean less than 90 minutes, and the movies still seem to drag. That should be a point that you fucked up when you made a movie.
Well, I guess that's a good segue for our next category.
Mm-hmm. All right, yeah. So, since you start off with the good, I guess I'll start off with the bad. I really want at work to just stop talking.
You couldn't get enough of that Pennsylvania Dutch accent?
Jesus Christ, that was annoying.
Oh, but he sounds like, what was the old Herman Munster in Pet Sematary? What was his name?
Oh, Fred Gwynn?
Because he sounds just like him.
Sometimes dead is better.
Yeah. Sometimes rats are better exterminated.
I don't know. In Pet Sematary, I think that Fred Gwynn was more believable.
I don't know. Like, did Stephen King throw a lot of that Pennsylvania accent in his characters? Or
I don't know. Because actually, I think all of his stories take place in Maine. So.
Yes. Well, do they have Amish in Maine?
Who the fuck knows? I don't know. They have lobsters, as far as I know.
We gotta get that old. Gotta get that old bald lobster. Gotta get the old bald otter up there.
So yeah, I don't know. I just found it annoying, and maybe just because it wasn't just his voice; it was just like his, just the character itself was like, Jesus Christ, man! Talk about going off the fucking deep end. Like he went from just being like, he's a fucking asshole, to literally going insane.
Yeah, like he wants to fucking murder his employees.
Yeah, like he's hunting his employees at the end.
Yeah, like if there's like a company man who's like a hard ass, like the sergeant from Full Metal Jacket, like that's one thing. Like you can have a lovable hard ass because like he still wants what's best for his employees.
Not this guy.
He just wants them to shape up and stop being such fucking dumbasses. And that's fine. But when you've got competent employees that are actually trying to, operate within the bounds of legality, and you're just like, you can pack up your fucking shit and leave, boy.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then what was the... Maybe I'm forgetting, but what was the purpose why he decided that his, his employee that he was having an affair with, why he decided to put her on the basement crew?
I guess she was being too clingy in public.
Okay. So instead of saying, hey, don't be so clingy in public, I'm going to assign you to basement detail, cleaning out this basement that hasn't been cleaned in decades.
Yeah, and apparently she decided, rather than voicing that up with the union, she's just like, I'm going to go demolish this fucking car.
Yeah.
Which reminded me a lot of Christine. When I saw that car getting axed.
Yes. And,
reminded me I wanted to watch Christine.
The actual scene from Christine when the bullies demolished it.
And now I want to watch Christine.
Yeah, it was a better movie than this, so I can't blame you. But she gets taken out by just
by stairs.
She just trips and falls down the stairs. She was taken out by stairs and then eaten by rats. Or the rat, I should say. The little one started on her, but then the Big Mama comes along.
Yeah, they chum the water for Big Mama.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense when you got a rat that big. How can another rat fuck it? Like, how can it make other rats?
I don't know. Maybe there's more big rats. Who knows?
Well, my first bad is I'm gonna punch a nail, derp. Because we see one guy in the... start off with a guy running the cotton gin, and then for some reason he decides to punch a board, a support beam, that has a nail in it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course that blood attracts Big Mama.
Well, it tracks all the... honestly, I was going to kick out of those... He
doesn't even get killed by the big... Oh, there's so much in this. Two of my bads are in this first scene. Like, the second bad is, that's a lot of piss for one rat.
It sure is.
A rat pisses on the chair
honestly,
and fills the fucking chair. Like, there is more piss than rat on that chair.
I have no gauge to measure it by how much rats piss is.
I'm just assuming, assume the bladder takes up, a fifth of their waist. That's my gauge. And it's that should be, at most, spread out about the size of a the base of a Coke can.
Mm-hmm.
But no, there is...
Yeah, you're right.
It's like the entire chair is flooded, like someone just spilled a glass on it. And then when the other... even the kill scene, he throws, a rat in the mill, but we see wool being turned red before it goes into the shredder. So I'm
you're right.
The fuck is... Where's all this blood coming from? Shouldn't we see something go in the shredder and then blood coming out on the strands? That would make sense.
You would think so, but yeah, you're right. You did. That was a good catch.
Yeah, I've only got one more, but I'll let you head up.
The acting, not great. I will give Brad Dourif a pass because that's his thing. Man, he was I want to say he was a good actor, but he played this fucking strung out, very hyper character really well. That dude was fucking intense. But honestly, I think the rats, those rats at the beginning of the movie were the best actors. Because
they all show up on the end on the little
yeah, they all play their part as well. There's they're just a bunch of rats doing rat things and just staring at the guy because they know what's about to happen. So they're this is gonna be a good show. Let's check this out. But yeah, the acting was not good in this. And the worst offenders were the fucking I'll call them Warwick's entourage. Holy shit, they were bad.
Not Val Kilmer. I fucking hated him.
Not Val Kilmer was bad. It's funny. Yeah, we both put down not Val Kilmer for this guy. I had for Warwick. I couldn't think of his name. I used everywhere in my notes. I had not Clancy Brown. So not exactly a stellar cast for this. That was usually a sign in the 90s as well when it came to a Stephen King movie. Look at the cast, and that could tell you if it was no one there that you recognize. You might see someone like I said, like I knew the Warwick from his role in Monster Squad, but if they had like very little known actors, then yeah, it wasn't going to be a phenomenal flick.
Yeah, Dourif was like the hidden all-star.
Yeah,
because he was already Chucky at this point.
Yeah, that was like 2 years. That was 2 years after Child's Play. So,
well, speaking of Dourif, though not a mark against him, just a question about his type of character. Why do animal exterminators really love killing animals? It's not that they're happy or they've made peace with their job. They are fucking ecstatic at the suffering of these creatures. It is a war against these animals.
Yeah, I think... Did you ever notice that this is like a pretty common thing in a lot of movies, that when it comes to someone that's some type of exterminator, they like some kind of exterminator, pest control, whatever you want to call them, they have some kind of military background. And it's like, I think they try to say that like they got a hard-on for killing now
because they are at war. They've brought the war home with them, but they can't go around killing Vietnamese people here because the cops kind of frown on that shit.
And yeah, exactly. And so I think that's what they were trying, especially when he gave his his monologue about his Nam experience.
Oh, that I had to come up with a whole category just like question time.
Oh Jesus, I can't wait for that. So I think that's what you were trying to display. Like, this is kind of like his substitute now that he's like, he's not in the military anymore, can't go around like killing the enemy, so the rats are his enemy now.
The best positive example of an exterminator I know, King of the Hill, Dale.
There you go.
Did that guy take his work home with him? No. You don't see him walking around Hank's yard like stomping ants or like looking in the foundation for cockroaches. If he sees a bug, he'll just smoke a cigarette and be like, another one of them CIA plants. Just not going to be saying anything incriminating. Nope. Like, that's as far as his crazy goes.
Yeah. Think of yeah, you're right. That geez, you know what? Now I'm thinking about it, they even kind of like look similar. You tell me that Brad Dourif like put him in a hat, like like cover up his hair, give him, like make him look a little more balding, give him some sunglasses, a cigarette, and put like a trucker hat on him. He wouldn't like look like that.
Yeah, you just make him look kind of like just halfway to the sheriff from Cool Hand Luke.
Yeah,
but give him a beer instead of a gun.
There you go. You got it.
Fuck. I mean, live action King of the Hill. That, like, if Brad Dourif didn't play Dale, it would be a fucking crime.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, so you got nothing else for the good? For the bad, actually. Fuck, we're all out of...
No.
We've been out of good for a while.
No, there was just not a lot going on in this movie for me to criticize.
No, it's really not a lot to talk about. Like, I mean...
questioned more things than I complained about.
Slow-paced, acting not good. Short runtime, but yet the movie was dull. It really brought up some questions about, like, where the hell did this big cavernous area underneath the cemetery, where the fuck, like, what is the story behind that? Because it actually has, like, if it was just like a cavern, okay, maybe this exists, like no one's ever discovered it, okay, fine. But there's actually wooden structures down there.
Yeah, this is a mine. You think if you bought the land to run a fucking textile mill, you think you'd be given like survey information and just be like, well, congratulations, you own this land, and don't go too deep into the basement or else you'll fall into the cavernous mine that used to be here.
And is that possible that your basement has a sub-basement, like a fully functional sub-basement that you don't know anything about?
Or was it supposed to be like an escape hatch for the mine? that people just forgot existed. And then they just built a textile factory on top of it and forgot about the door.
But it even had some old equipment down there. Like, there was actually, like, some machinery and everything in that place.
Yeah, that must have been like an alternate entrance. Like it looked like it should have been like a facility for the mine, like an office.
Yeah, maybe.
Except nobody remembered that because everyone's really surprised when they find the trap door. Instead of Warwick being like, "Yeah, that's the old man there."
Okay. Yeah, so, like, all this, yeah, that's pretty much it for the bad. Like, I mean, everything else is just kind of repeating itself. Like, I don't want to go through every single thing that made the movie boring. Just that, like, the movie was just boring. Like, there's not enough going on.
Yeah, so I guess we can move into question period.
Yeah, let's do that.
What the fuck caused the blood in the cotton gin before they got to the shredder?
The only thing I could think of was the guy, like, was injured, right? Like, he hurt himself. Like you said, he punched a nail. Is that where it came from, possibly?
Yeah, but he dropped a rat in there, and the wool got bloody as it's, like, going through the shredder, but you don't see the rat going in. And then, like, he seems to fall in immediately, and all the wool going up to the shredder, up to the grinding wheel, is now bloody and woolly, and you see, like, the little pulling tray. It's got, like, his body parts on it. So, like, I don't fucking know. Like, did he get pushed in? Did the thing, like, start eating him on the tray?
I think that's what was supposed to be implied, that, like, the thing, like, attacked him, and he fell into the machinery and got grounded up.
I know, just the way that they filmed it. Maybe it's just the way they filmed it, but it looked like he was all in chunks before he got to the grinder. But that's weird. But another reason I asked if this was a made-for-TV movie was because it has a fade-out during the fucking credits that doesn't leave the scene.
Yeah.
As it's panning across the mine, we're seeing, like, okay, well, we're seeing some forest, we're seeing the wood, we're seeing the stairs leading up to the office, and then it cuts to black. And then when it cuts back in, we're still looking around the perimeter, and credits are still rolling. It fucking pulled a commercial break during the intro.
Yeah, they did. That's fantastic.
That's what the fuck right there. It just has no place. And then Tucker's rant when he's talking with Warwick, and he's talking about how, like, we were nice to them, we shared our food with them, and then he goes talking about how they betrayed us, and I'm thinking, wait a second, is he talking about like local villagers? Because I thought he was talking about rats. And then we find out, and then he talks about, like, how they'll stab you, and then they'll put one of those fuckers on you and put a bowl over it. And I'm like, motherfucker, he is talking about rats. He's talking about how the rats betrayed American soldiers.
Yep.
How the fuck did they train them? Did they, like, train them to read maps? Or give, like, or do dances like bees to give the locations of the camps? Like Tucker's just being fucking insane.
Absolutely.
And then my last question, when we see, what was his name? Rogaine. Broseph. When he's fucking around with the hose, at one point he blasts a fucking desk to pieces while screaming like he's coming all the time. I mean, like, just him walking around. And then after he destroys the desk, he looks at someone and swear to fuck, do you hear that hose make a cocking sound?
He cocks like the hose like a gun. Like a shotgun.
I hear it when he's done. You were a fireman, Sheldon, when you turned, like, I've only operated a garden hose. That's as big as the hoses I've operated have ever gotten. Do the larger hoses cock when you're done? Do fire hoses do that? From your laughter, I'm assuming not. But you heard it too, right? I'm not hallucinating. You heard it.
Yes, you did. You absolutely. He cocks it. It actually makes like a shotgun cocking sound. That's when you're trying to intimidate the fire.
You gotta let those rats know who the boss is.
The fire is like, the fire's getting a little out of control, and you step up with the hose, and now, boy, I think it's time for you to leave.
And then when the black guy, Carmichael, as soon as he grabs the hose, Warwick comes down and gives him this eye, like, you're on the wrong end of that hose, boy.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Think about it. You have a scene with a black man and a hose, and then Warwick comes in and immediately shuts that shit down.
If I was there and someone was spraying a hose, if I had to work in that fucking basement, I'd be like, somebody just please spray me down. It's like, get all this fucking rat shit and whatever the hell else is down here in this basement off me.
Get this mildew off of me. Just give me an impromptu shower. That's what this was missing. A shower hose montage. Where everyone's just hosing each other down and having a good old time. That's what this was missing. Just play like some Beach Boys music and there we go. No, they wasted it on the rats. Taking a plank down a sewer pipe.
I gotta tell you a funny story about this didn't happen to the fire department, like my fire department, but another firefighter I knew in a different department. They got called to a fire. They got called to a fire that was this house was like not within like town limits. It was out on the outskirts, and so they didn't have a fire hydrant to connect to. So they would actually have to go and fill up the pumper truck at another fire hose, and then drive it to this guy's house, keep spraying it until it emptied, and then drive it back to the nearest fire hydrant and fill it up again.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, like it sucks. But this guy's house burned down. And
well, yeah, you keep fucking off to get more water. That'll happen.
Of course, yeah. And so this guy's house burned down, tried to sue the fire department. And the reason why he said that he tried to sue the fire department is for misuse of equipment. And the reason why he said it was misuse of equipment is because the pumper truck didn't have enough water in its reservoir tank, because he saw the firemen using the fire truck to wash their cars in the parking lot of the fire.
While his house is on fire?
No, beforehand. Earlier that day, he claimed that he saw some of the firemen using the fire hose up to connect it to the fire truck to wash their cars.
Does it have pressure that low, or does it only have like one really high setting to reach tall buildings?
No, like no matter what setting you put it on, you're not washing your car with a fire hose.
No, you'll be like, I imagine if you come from that fucking pumper truck, you are being hit with a velocity that will smash your shield.
Oh yeah, like I mean, one part of initiation when like
you're gonna dent your fucking car with that.
We were training. One of the training officers actually, like, we were just doing some drills, and he waited until we were enough distance away, and then like when all our backs were turned, he blasted us with a fire hose. And I mean, it was enough force, like it knocks you down, like knocked our helmets off, knocked us down. Like there's a lot of force. You're not washing your car. Like if you have any type of break in the paint, like scratch or a little ding or anything like that, you're gonna start taking paint off with the hose. Possibly, like there's enough force that it could possibly bust out your windows. It's gonna take your wipers off completely. Like, nobody bought that. There is no fucking way that anybody in that fire department was using the fucking pumper truck to wash their cars.
I just love the idea of them at the fire, and like half of them are showing up like, hey buddy, can you turn the hose on here for a second? Oh yeah, sure. And then like and then like soaping the hood and...
Well, let me tell you how much pressure that a pumper truck exerts, because just another story of like not the fire department I was on, but another one. They were on the outskirts of town as well, and apparently the town cheaped out and didn't use pipes that were, when they put in some of the water mains, they didn't use pipes that were up to code. Instead of using metal pipes, they used thick plastic pipes that weren't up to code. So, excuse me, somebody's house is on fire. The fire department comes and connects to a fire hydrant. They're spraying it down. there was so much suction, like so much suction from the pressure that this truck was using to pull water into its reservoir, that it actually crushed the pipes, like sucked them together, like drew them shut.
Well, like a straw when you jam your finger in the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. Imagine that, like, putting a straw in your mouth and putting your finger over the tip and sucking on it so that like that it actually like implodes.
Shit.
So, and this jackass said, tried to sue the fire department because they were using the fire truck to wash their cars.
The only way that could conceivably work is if you just spray the hose straight up and just let the ensuing rainfall take off the soap.
It's ridiculous. Like, don't get out of here with that shit. You're a moron. All right, so all in all, we could talk about some more stuff, but all in all, it's just not a good movie.
Now, there's definitely better movies in the Stephen King 4-pack that my DVD came with. And that better movie is every other movie.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, we got Pet Sematary, The Dead Zone, Christopher Walken. That was a fucking great movie.
Not bad.
And then Silver Bullet, which we got to watch sometime. Gary Busey in a respectable role.
Gary Busey was actually... I remember that movie. He was actually probably the best part of it, because he was just a little bit crazy in this one. That's before he went full on, like, just batshit crazy.
Yeah, well, that was before he got that plate in his head.
Yeah. That he put there himself.
Well, didn't he fall off a motorcycle or something?
Possibly, dude.
I know he suffered some massive critical injury. Like that explains why he's unhinged. Like,
if
he has a reason.
If you were to tell me anybody fell off a motorcycle, Gary Busey, I would, like, absolutely believe.
Now, I know Mark Hamill fell off a motorcycle, but that just, like, scuffed him up a bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, something definitely happened to Busey, though.
Yeah, if you're a hardcore Stephen King fan, like, check it out. Like, all in all, if you don't enjoy it, it's less than an hour and a half of your time. Yeah, definitely not one of my favorites. And I'm a Stephen King fan. This was, I don't want to say regret watching it or anything like that. I mean, it's not that bad where this was a complete, like, absolute waste of time. But if you've got some other movie, if it comes down between this movie and something else in your collection you haven't watched yet, go with the other thing.
Yep, in 1988, severely injured in a motorcycle accident, he was not wearing a helmet. The skull was fractured, and doctors feared he suffered permanent brain damage.
Which he did.
Well, in 1996, he announced that he was Christian. So, yeah, there you go.
All right.
In 1997, he underwent successful surgery to remove a cancerous plum-sized tumor from his sinus cavity. So he's well, if you wanted concrete proof of the brain damage, he supported a certain candidate in 2015.
Okay, enough of the Gary Busey medical report hour. Let's get back to the movie. But yeah, so overall, yeah, it's not a great movie. Check it out if you've got an hour and a half you want to waste, and maybe you've already seen it. So, best of luck to you. I don't know how to what to say in that case. So, Mike, I am curious though, because there were a couple of pretty good ones. I know which one I would certainly go with, but I'm curious about what you chose for your segment.
Oh yeah, there was I definitely had the pick of the litter for the kill of the week. And it had to go to Tucker the Exterminator.
Yes!
Who you think, oh, this is a man who's a professional rat killer. He's going to meet the alpha rat, and it's going to be like a clash of titans, like an experienced killer versus something he's never seen before. This is going to be like the rat's going to kill him, but how much is he going to give before he dies? It turns out he doesn't even get a fucking chance to meet him, because he ends up looking for his dog, walking into a mausoleum, stepping behind a sarcophagus, and the floorboards immediately cut out. The sarcophagus tilts, crushes him against the wall, and then grinds.
Yes.
And you just see a red smear where his skull used to be.
Yep. taken out, and the rest of them just sinks under the ground with the fucking tomb.
And then we get to see the tomb later. I expected to see him, like, his body still hanging onto it to be discovered later to freak out Kelly Wolf. No. So I felt a little robbed. I would have liked to see the corpse of Tucker make one last reveal, but we didn't get it. But still, grinded out of existence by a fucking tombstone and taken out by decayed floorboards. That's a pretty good kill.
Not bad at all. That was like actually, it might have been the highlight of the movie. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah, it just marginally better than Warwick, thinking he's the fucking badass. He thinks he's the hero of his story, and he decides to take out the rat in not even like guerrilla tactics. He just decides one-on-one noble combat, a duel. And despite seeing what this rat can do, he still grossly underestimates what it's capable of. Like, this rat apparently has like dew claws and stingers, and Warwick ain't dealing with any of that.
Yeah,
he gets taken out as he should.
And he actually gets a drop on this thing and attacks it with a knife. And where does he stab it? Stabs it through the fucking wing. Yes, and the rat had a wing because it looks like
it's a bat.
I think, you know what? Honestly,
we see the close-up of this thing, and its nose is turned up like a fucking fruit bat. He's got two fangs instead of like buck teeth. He's got upper and lower fangs like a bat, and he's got wings like a bat. He's a rat bat.
Yeah. And so it's just a bat that couldn't fly. That's all it was.
Because it's just too fucking heavy.
Yeah. Evolution gave it a kick in the balls.
And it's got like a stinger? Or like a dew claw on its foot, something?
Something like that, yeah.
I don't fucking know, but
yeah, so
like, that was a close runner-up, though, because that rat gets taken out like a fucking boss at the end.
It does, yeah.
Except I can't go for it because it does, like, this guy, he ends up shooting Pepsi cans with a slingshot.
Fuck yeah, Diet Pepsi
which is stupid as mother.
Do you really think,
crush the cans at least so it's more aerodynamic?
Yeah, exactly. You turn on the fucking machinery using like you know what you would think of when you think of these the switches, the on-off buttons for this type of machinery.
You have to slam those things with your hand hard.
Plus, they're like actually in the, you know, they're not raised out. They're inside the paneling. Like, you have to push them into the paneling to activate them.
Yeah, you have to shunt that fucker thing. You can't just tap it. Like, you think if anything he's going to shoot a full can, like an unopened can, because that's the only thing that might have the weight and the impact to hit the button. But no, he just shoots an empty can, which like bounces off the button, and that's enough to activate the cotton gin, which is fucking bullshit. So because of that, I can't add it.
Yeah,
I can't give it the props.
No, your kill was bang on. Like, that was definitely the only thing it could have been. Okay, well, guys, that is Graveyard Shift, the movie, not the show. We're not done just yet, because we want to hear from you. Did you see this movie before? What are your thoughts on it? What are your thoughts on Stephen King movies in general, and thoughts on his movies as compared to the source material? And do you have a movie you'd like for us to cover on a future episode? Well, we want to hear from you. You can reach out to us the old-fashioned way by shooting us an email. You can do that at graveyardshiftpod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter at GYS_horrorpod. On Facebook at facebook.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. And, of course, on Instagram, instagram.com/thegraveyardshiftpod. If you're feeling particularly generous and you want these episodes to keep coming, you can help us out by going over to patreon.com/graveyard. There, for as little as $1 a month, you can help out with the production costs of the show, but also get instant access to some awesome bonus content. Every once in a while, we throw up some new episodes. Different than what we do on a regular feed. Sometimes we'll cover TV shows. If we cover a movie, most of the time, instead of just doing the good and the bad, we'll give you a full synoptic breakdown of the movie. We'll talk about video games, top 10 lists, whatever we think would make an interesting episode, we go for it. It's all right there. And for you Patreon followers, the ones that are already giving us some of your hard-earned money, check out the latest tiers, because we've got some new stuff coming in. Maybe a little bit of merchandise is going to be available for you guys.
And if you haven't subscribed to the Patreon yet, how about hitting us up and letting us know what do you think we could do to earn a little bit of your support? Like, if you just think we need to give a little bit more, we're willing to take ideas.
Absolutely. We're open to any and all suggestions, as long as it's not the usual go fuck yourselves. Not that we wouldn't, just saying we don't want it as a suggestion.
That's a fourth tier perk.
See Mike for that one. But of course, we understand not everybody has the money to give us money, but you can still help us out a ton without having to work some overtime at your job at the textile mill. That you can actually, however you get our podcast, whether it's iTunes, SoundCloud. Is SoundCloud even a thing anymore? Stitcher. That's a good one. However you get your podcast, I'm sure there's some kind of rate, review, subscribe feature. So rate, review, and subscribe. Honestly, in the long run, that's what helps us out the most. So please go ahead and do that. Same thing if you follow us on social media. You can rate, review, subscribe. Share us on your social media with anyone you think would be interested in listening to a couple of guys talk about horror movies. And, of course, sharing by word of mouth always helps as well.
And if you also want to know where else we can be found, by the end of this week, we will be on Scottish radio, internet radio, and we're going to be on radiohaver.com. I know you spell it Radio Haver, but it's pronounced Haver because Haver is the Scottish word for speaking enthusiastically, which pretty much sums up what we do. And we will be part of their Saturday night horror lineup, and that we will be airing at 11 o'clock their time, which will be roughly 6 o'clock, give or take a time zone, on in the North American side. So if you want to hear some of our old episodes before, just as we get introduced to a European audience, go to radiohaver.com, and hopefully it will be all up and running. It's set to launch this week, and we will be there on Saturday at 11 p.m., 6 p.m. here.
We won't physically be there. It doesn't work that way. That's not how internet radio works. But, yeah, check it out. We're very excited about it, actually. A great new way of getting us. And check out all the other shows and music that Radio Haver has to offer. There's some great stuff. We're really excited about being a part of it.
Yeah, there are several shows. So go check out their Facebook group, which is simply Radio Haver, or Haver, if you want to know how to spell, because it's not going to be spelled hey with a Y. But, yeah, check out the rest of their lineup, see who else is on the show. Mm-hmm. Give the network a little bit of support, let them know that we sent you. And we're pulling our weight.
And check out if you follow us on social media, we're going to be making, once everything is up and running, we're going to be sharing lots of posts about it, so you won't have any problem finding it. Okay, so, guys, thank you so very much for joining us again. So great to be back. We really, really did miss this. We took, before we came back last week, we took a much longer break than we originally intended. It just got so crazy, so much stuff going on, that we didn't want to half-ass an episode. We fully intend on using our full ass if we're going to do this. But, just really great to hear all this feedback from you guys about how good it was to get new episodes. So we appreciate it. Thanks a lot. So we're going to be back next week with another episode. Until then, I'm Sheldon.
And I'm Mike.
And thank you again for joining us for the Graveyard Shift.
When I haver, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who's havering to you.